These two scientists are scientists at CERN. So during the week, they
Oh.
build black holes, and and on the weekend they help my daughter and I figure out how to convert brain signals into signals we can use to control the exoskeleton.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Simon Flohm, founder of OMP, and OMP is a AI solutions integrator. And we're always looking for new platforms and tools to solve business problems and enhance worker productivity. With me is Peter, also with OMP, and he's out in sunny Florianopolis, Brazil. And we also have Bodo, and I'm not going to try to pronounce your name without. I'll let you introduce your name. But Bodo is with an innovative AI education company called NoleJ, and I have to admit, Bodo, for like a week I was calling it NoleJ.
Yeah,
it just hit me like, wait a second, it's knowledge. Okay, got it. So yeah, but yeah, and we're super excited to have you on and listen to, your story and where you're seeing the market for education go, and learn about the products that you're developing over at NoleJ.
Yeah. So hi everyone, my name is Bodo. Really good to be here. Yeah, NoleJ sounds kind of French, and we're a French company, but it's knowledge, and it's written as I would spell it because I'm dyslexic.
Oh, really?
So it's NoleJ. Yeah, but I'm really glad to be here.
Awesome, thank you so much. So, yeah, well, let's just kind of tell us about how you got started in AI, if you don't mind, your background, and what you're doing with NoleJ.
Yeah. I guess so. So my background is I'm a serial entrepreneur, but I would really think of myself as, and I think of myself personally as a collective intelligence scientist. I'm really interested in how we tap into the collective intelligence of those around us, especially within environments where there are no formal educational resources or structures. That's really where my interest lies.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps what I can do is I can share the story through the lens of a personal story that kind of ties everything that I've been doing over the last 10, 20 years together. So I want to share that story with you.
Mm-hmm.
So suddenly my daughter tells me, "Hey, Dad, my arm is sore." I don't think anything of it. I was rushing to work. She was about 5 years old at this time. I didn't think anything of it. And hours later, she was in hospital, almost completely paralyzed. There were no treatments we could afford. It was a rare polio-like illness, so there was no treatments we could afford, a very low chance of recovery. So could we find a solution to this? The reality is that the doctors didn't know what was happening. They didn't know much about this disease, but we needed to find a solution. From knowing nothing about paralysis or how to treat it, in just 7 months, we built a solution. We managed to build a brain-controlled exoskeleton that allowed her to move.
Wow.
So I want to share with you a story for how we did that. And it ties in together. This was a tragic event that happened. We didn't plan for this, obviously, but it forced us to use the technologies we were building to try and solve this particular problem. So how did we do it? Before I tell you how, I want to share with you why is it important for us to solve these type of educational challenges. This provides context, and it provides context on why I've been working on this problem. So learners of today, we don't know what problems they need to solve tomorrow. And yet our educational systems need to guess what they need to learn, because it's going to take them months, if not years, to develop the courses and programs that they're going to need to teach. However, this results in some pretty scary statistics. 42% of the jobs our school systems are preparing our kids for, those jobs will be obsolete by the time the kids graduate.
Wow.
Then if we look at lifelong learning, if we look at the type of stuff you learn in courses and programs you find on Skillshare and Coursera, and you find at the top schools in the world, 82% of the content in those courses are irrelevant to the students' current needs, which means that by the time they do need to use that thing that they learned, they would have probably forgotten it. And this is really easily illustrated. I don't know how much do you remember from what you learned in college? And just thinking
Not
back,
the
how
things
much
that were in the books.
yeah, and then
Right.
I mean this is even scarier, because how much does an 8th grade student remember from what they learned in 7th grade after the summer school holidays?
Yes.
Right.
Not
Right.
much.
Yeah. Yeah. They
Right.
they cram, study hard for what they need to pass in the moment, and then they move on, and it's
And I understand why we needed to do this, right? We needed to do this because the most efficient way to train people was through this factory model where we push 3 people through this linear path, and like we all understand the reasons why. However, what if we could generate curriculum in real time from any starting point to any learning destination? And that's what we're building. So to give you a bit of background, so I'm a collective intelligence scientist, like I said in the beginning, and I've been working on this problem now for a long time, for 10 years. I started off after 10 years ago, I sold my learning management system to Google, and then started working on this problem. I started working in, well, the background is I wanted to, how do we accelerate the rate at which we can learn something and then immediately apply what we've learned to actually do something? So it's very practical in nature. It's not like you spend 25 years learning theory and then only do you get to do something real in the world. No, I wanted to, you learn something today, you put into practice tomorrow. It's a constant feedback loop. That's what I've been researching. And the background is I started working with experiments in refugee camps in the slums, mainly in East Africa. I also worked in K-12 and higher ed in the US, in Japan, and in Europe. And then also ran a bunch of experiments in non-traditional learning spaces like homeschooling environments and maker spaces, mainly in India. So all around the world, doing all these different random experiments on the basis of how do we tap into collective intelligence. Right? And so it was while we were doing this that we figured out, well, the future of learning needs a new fundamental infrastructure to support the types of problems we see in the world. And the infrastructure we think comes in with these three components. So the first component is NoleJ, which is a tool that can rapidly generate e-learning content, and I can demo that to you. It generates bite-sized e-learning content that you can quickly learn from. Knowledge Graph is, you can think of it like a Google Maps for learning, where we map out all these things we generate, and Knowledge Protocol is like a GPS that guides you through that sequence. Right. So these are the three tools we're building. After that, we started NoleJ together with co-founders who have had successful exits in AI. Then suddenly my daughter becomes paralyzed, and we're forced to actually use these tools we were developing, these experimental tools. And now we know that what we are working on works. And this is where we're at the moment. So let me tell you how we actually did it, how we actually solved the problem for my daughter, because it will explain how these tools actually work in the real world and our vision for it. So how do we do it? So the first point is we needed to generate bite-sized e-learning modules, bite-sized e-learning content that we could easily learn from. Because think of it. So at this point, I'm trying to build a brain-controlled exoskeleton to help my daughter move. If I go to Google and I search, hey, you know what, I want to build a brain-controlled exoskeleton, you're not going to find a course on that. Also, if I went, even if I went to the top schools in the world, and I did, I went to Harvard, I went to Stanford, I went to a few others. I said, listen, this is the problem I'm in. How can I build a brain-controlled exoskeleton? You know, these are the top schools in the world. You would expect them to be able to help us or be able to help us, but their infrastructure is fundamentally not geared towards helping and solving these type of problems, because they need several months, if not several years, to first design the course. Well, we can't wait that long.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so we need to be able to generate content And so what we did was we used NoleJ AI. We took any available suitable information on that we could find on the internet. It could be videos, audio, textbooks, PDFs, audio podcasts, whatever we could. And it auto generates bite-sized e-learning content from that. Bite-sized e-learning content that we could easily digest and learn from within a couple of minutes. So it takes every core concept and it breaks it down into concepts that we could learn. Tying back into the previous solution, the previous problem I was talking about. I want to learn something today that I can put into practice tomorrow. I don't want to spend several months learning theory and then only start building the exoskeleton. No, I need to learn something today, and maybe 10 minutes from now I can start to put it in practice. So, right? So bite size is really key. So we use NoleJ AI to do that, and I can provide a demo of how that looks and how that works. Then we used Knowledge Graph to map those all out into a multi-dimensional latent space. So you can think of this like a Google Maps for learning of all the concepts that lay between our current understanding, our starting point, and our learning goal, which is to build this exoskeleton. Right? So you can think of this as like a Google Maps for learning, where every dot here represents a concept that should be learned. And these concepts have an address on the map. And we now provide you a map of your ignorance. Essentially, these are all the concepts that lie between your understanding and your learning goal. And this could be totally dynamic and unique for every single person, right? So every person's map of ignorance is going to be different. However, just like Google Maps can plot a route between any two destinations, Learning Graph or Knowledge Graph here can plot a route between any two destinations. The third thing we used was Knowledge Protocol. And this is, you can think of it as like a GPS to guide you through the map, but a GPS that not only guides you through the content, but very importantly, guides you to other learners and experts that can guide you along the way. So here we were building an exoskeleton, right? And so the experts we reached out to, well, none of them had built an exoskeleton before, and that wasn't needed. We just needed an expert at each individual granular concept. So, for example, we needed to learn 3D printing. Well, okay, so who's an expert at 3D printing? Then we needed to learn how to program an Arduino, and then the Raspberry Pi, and then we needed to learn about machine learning. So at every stage, we needed to tap into the collective intelligence of someone who understood this granular concept. So it kind of flipped the whole idea of having a sage on the stage that understands everything about a particular course to a model. To a model that really taps into the collective intelligence. And now we are tapping into the people that are most suitable at providing context around this particular granular concept.
What's interesting about it is that the knowledge grows as you go. Instead of the knowledge being the starting point, the knowledge is the ongoing process.
Absolutely. So here's a cool story about these two scientists. So these two scientists are, well, first of all, so imagine this concept was how to process brain signals and convert it into electrical signals that the exoskeleton can use and we can use to move the exoskeleton. We spent several hours with neurologists, neuroscientists, top of the field neuroscientists, trying to see how we could do this, what we could do. The overall feedback from them was, listen, this is not possible. It's not going to work, right? Several hours with them telling us that, listen, just do occupational therapy, do physical therapy. That's the best you can do. What you're trying to do here with the exoskeleton it's just impossible, right? These two scientists didn't know it was impossible. These two scientists are scientists at CERN. So during the week, they build black holes, and they and on the weekend they help my daughter and I figure out how to convert brain signals into signals we can use to control the exoskeleton. So they didn't know it was impossible, and it took them just 7 minutes to give us the advice needed to actually solve this problem. Right? Wow. This is the beauty of tapping into collective intelligence and diverse collective intelligence. That's key, right? You want to tap into diverse intelligences. So that's what Knowledge Protocol is about. All about not only guiding you through the content, that bite-sized content, but also, very importantly, to the learners and experts and teachers around the world that can help you with this particular point.
And can I ask a question there? Did you already have them in your network somehow, or how did Knowledge Protocol locate them in this map?
Yeah, so at this point everything was done manually, and everything was we needed to bootstrap really quickly. So we didn't have anybody in the network. We needed to luckily my LinkedIn network was okay at that stage, so I could tap into that. I joined a bunch of communities around the world, machine learning communities, all these different communities.
But it told you who you needed to go to, like what type of subject matter expert.
Well, in the end it did,
Mm.
but we needed to first figure out, okay, who are these experts, and map them out to those nodes, right? So we had the latent space. We knew what content that was in those concepts, and now we needed to find experts that could teach us about those concepts. So
and when you
that was all
say
done
communities, like how did you get into these communities?
mostly through Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook at that time, Reddit, anywhere.
But you had a map guiding you. Like without the map, you wouldn't know which communities to tap into.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. We had the map. We were trying to go through it, and we didn't do it all at once. We didn't like design the whole map before we got started. We got started. Honestly, it took us 2 weeks. So after 2 weeks coming back from hospital, we had our first prototype. We had our first prototype built with Lego bricks, and it didn't work well, obviously, but it just took 2 weeks. And so every part of the journey was, okay, what are the next big things we need to learn? And over time, this map of ignorance grew and morphed and changed, right? It's not a solid map. It morphs with you as you grow.
Dynamic, great.
It's very dynamic. Really, and also you would assume there's a linear structure to this map, but there wasn't, because we needed to tap into serendipity. We needed to tap into, hey, you know what? I'm working on this problem today. I just bumped into this person that could potentially help me. I wasn't planning on solving this problem until like 3 months from now, but I've got the opportunity now. So let me tap into his collective intelligence now, or his intelligence now, right? You have to allow for serendipity, which again is something that traditional education and traditional foundational structures don't allow for. Serendipity is one of the most powerful concepts within our learning experience.
Serendipity.
So this is what we did. These are the tools, and so here's one point I want to highlight is that content. A lot of people think that content is king when it comes to education, but it's really not.
Like content can maybe is king, right?
Yeah. Content can get you 20% through the learning experience. It's enough to provide you a seed, the vocabulary, the ideas, the information that people have done before, and what the problems are with this solution today. It gives you the seeds. But the vast majority of the learning actually took place through the connections and interactions with teachers and experts and people along the way, right? So it's really a really good indication that educators shouldn't be worried about AI replacing their jobs. Educators are increasingly important, especially in a world where we don't know what actually needs to be taught. Yes. Right? We can't rely on predefined content to help us.
Yeah, and that's what I'm always saying. If you just focus on AI, it's basically knowledge from the past, because it has to absorb the knowledge one way or the other. So if you're trying to be creative or trying to be innovative, you're always one step ahead.
Yes, right, absolutely. So now we developed the exoskeleton. It took us 7 months, and it was absolutely amazing process. Now she goes around the world and shares the story at medical conferences. And what was beautiful about the story is not that we actually made an exoskeleton, but we made it so quick, and we made it so that so it works by picking up the brain signals and electrical signals and converting it into electrical signals that the exoskeleton can use. And we wanted to do that because we knew that other people were building these exoskeletons, and was causing their motor neurons to be able to rehabilitate, to rehabilitate over time. And that's exactly what happened with my daughter. So this was several months after we built the exoskeleton. My daughter comes into the kitchen and she says, "Hey, Mom and Dad, guess what I can do?" And she goes and she moves her arm and she's not wearing the exoskeleton.
Oh, wow.
And And this absolutely is mind-blowing that we're able to do this. And so now she goes around the world and she shares her stories at medical conferences. But I think it's a beautiful story for how education could work. Because what if education were how it should work? Yes.
Yeah.
You know, what if education is there to empower kids to do whatever they want to do, well, not whatever, like to follow their dreams and to actually achieve miraculous things like this? I think it's possible.
Keep them inspired, keep them motivated.
Keep them inspired.
Right. Absolutely. And then maybe dynamic too. So, because I'm a father of two, and I think with kids, you know, their interests may shift and change along the way as they grow older.
Yeah.
And I think it's, you know, there's something to that of having a dynamic map that sort of can adapt to their interests and maybe offer feedback too as to, because I think human beings are, you know, just born with certain strengths and weaknesses, and if you can kind of like maybe focus on strengths and you know, and just kind of maybe
weaknesses, right?
Yeah. Just because I mean everyone's like that, right? So it's like where's the best fit for you to learn or to apply your learning? And I think having a dynamic system would really help, just to kind of, you know, offer that feedback and maybe just adapt to the learner in real time. I mean, that's what I always envision. With AI and learning.
So how would this look in practice? What do the kids see?
We envisioning the tool mainly for those that are maybe 13 and up, that have some foundational knowledge and are now ready to explore something that's intrinsically motivating to them. So it brings me back to where this all started, was in the refugee camps. I was given money by the Gates Foundation to help them learn literacy and numeracy. And these are girls, predominantly girls. They would never see the inside of the classroom, and so the idea was, well, if we can teach them literacy and numeracy, that would give them a good head start in their lives. But the approach I was taking was that I wanted to build a tool that could operate without there being any formal structures, right? So we would provide them a tablet device, and on that tablet had all this educational information. They would be able to explore a map and go learn what they needed to learn. So we couldn't rely on external motivating factors like us being there and encouraging them to learn literacy and numeracy. So the lesson we learned was, well, even though the girls understand that, yes, literacy and numeracy is going to help them in the long term, it's not going to help them tomorrow. What is going to help them tomorrow? What is it that can tap into their intrinsic motivation and would encourage them to learn today because they know they can use it tomorrow? It's not literacy and numeracy. Right. It is, help me become a bicycle mechanic, help me set up a shop, help me prevent the spread of malaria, help me become a nurse because my daughter is sick or my sister is sick. Help me with something that is intrinsically motivating for me to learn today, so that I can
food-related stuff even.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So to answer your question, how I see this operating is, first of all, we need to tap into someone's intrinsic motivation. If you tap into their intrinsic motivation, you're not reliant on game mechanics to try and force people to, or trick people into learning stuff they actually don't want to learn.
Yes.
You don't need to rely on tests and this anxiety around, oh, am I going to pass this test? I better study. You know, you don't have to rely on all these arbitrary methods of forcing people to learn. You can actually tap into their intrinsic motivation.
But is there, since you mentioned there are no tests, is there some way to measure the progress? Or
yes.
You know, it's great for children, but it's also great for adults too, because like, you know, adults that are pursuing career changes or need to upskill, learn new skills, especially like the cybersecurity domain, which I'm pretty familiar with, the lack of training. And I mean, there's training, but there's just so much demand that we don't have enough you know, skilled individuals to fill all the jobs. So there's this big problem in the market of, okay, well, how do you upskill people to learn new cyber skills, and also
the market moves so quickly. You just you can't expect somebody to go to school 4 or 5 years and use that knowledge to for the rest of his career. That's just not realistic anymore. Right now,
Exactly.
since we're working now in AI, every month the market is different basically. Right now we're seeing these new tools, GPT engineering, and basically you can just like write something where the script write your whole code, and you have to start learning to work with that. Like you can't expect to work the way that you were working like a year ago. Everything changed.
Bodo, traditionally I see education kind of lags behind technology, and it's a little slow to adapt. I think that's
especially large organizations like big universities. Like it takes time to adapt all these things, and of course, they study the stuff. They're on their game, and most large language models were originated in these type of environments. But the practicality of it, if you put it into market and people gonna start mess with it, things change, and you just have like a whole new paradigm of possibilities. And then right now, how I learn things, for example, I buy a course on Udemy, and then it's like a 5-hour course, and then you kind of like up to speed again. You can't expect to go to the university all the time. It's just not realistic anymore.
Yeah. So Bodo, how do you envision like taking this to market? This approach, this new method of learning, and what do you see like kind of the roadmap for implementation?
I think so we realize that this is a big project. It's pretty audacious too in its scope, and we want to try and make sure that we can successfully tackle this with a go-to-market strategy that makes sense early on and is sustainable really early on. And so the approach, and I'm just sharing a slide here, the approach we have is to focus initially on NoleJ. This is now launched. It's a tool that can take any suitable information and convert it into bite-sized e-learning. This is a tool that can support traditional education institutions. It can support traditional companies. It could support all of the infrastructure that we have today to help them generate new content, new bite-sized content really, really quickly. This is a tool that already accelerates the process of generating these e-learning modules by 100x. It's really, really quick to generate these modules. So it's a really cool tool that can be used today, but it's a stepping stone towards something bigger. So the approach we have is we focus on NoleJ now. It's launched now, and we're focusing on that for the next year or so. In early 2024 is when we look to launch the early versions of Knowledge Graph and Protocol. It's
By
at
the way,
that stage.
I love the word micro-learning.
Yeah. I mean, just a few minutes ago, you were talking about how it's impossible to learn everything you need about AI by going to college, because
you have to be on it every day of the week. It's so
exactly
quick.
And what happens tomorrow or what happens yesterday, you need to put into practice tomorrow. That you can't wait for someone to build a course about something new that's just come out.
That's right. So from what I understand for NoleJ, you can then generate this micro-learning. There you go, knowledge. I look at him like NoleJ. No, okay. So what I understand, so we don't have to wait for a course. So new material comes out. Let's say, like I'm super excited about like this task matrix. I don't know if you've heard of that, Bodo, but if you haven't, I'll send you the white paper. Microsoft's working on this task matrix technology, and they published a white paper back in March, and I'm surprised it's not getting as much news as I feel it should. But if I wanted to learn about what that means for business, what that means for my domain, and I could just put that white paper into NoleJ, right, and have it generate some micro learning material for myself, and then I can share that with my team, right, to get them up to speed. Is that kind of
that's right? So there are some limitations at the moment. The AI is still in early beta. It works better on very explicit declarative knowledge. It works best on bite-sized packages. So if you try to feed it a 200-page white paper, it's going to not work as well. So you need to be able to chunk it up for now. So there are some limitations, but short answer
we
is
have the
yes.
same problem
Is that
with
the
our,
token size limit? Is that the because of the GPT? I think is like at 16K now, and or Peter knows this better than I do. But is that the limit we're talking about? Basically, it's got to fit in that memory limit.
That has a bit to do with it, but also the from a learning's perspective, we want to make sure that it's bite-sized. We don't want to try and cram something that you should really spend 2 hours learning into something that we try to condense into 10 minutes.
It makes sense.
Yeah. So it's two parts, and the majority of the reason why we're doing this is because of pedagogical reasons.
Okay. So what would be a good candidate artifact to or material to put into NoleJ to generate that micro learning?
Yeah, at the moment, the biggest use cases that we see around us are digital textbooks, where for high school students, college students. At the moment, they're just static text pages that they are given to students. Here we're going to learn chapter 10 today. Well, instead of just giving them static text, push it through NoleJ, and we'll give you interactives, flashcards, glossaries, all of these different things. It really accelerates the retention of that knowledge. It highlights what is really key about what's being presented. Provides. Yeah.
And what is the interface like for the students? Do they use an app? They go to the website. How does that work?
Yeah. So we auto-generate bite-sized packages that are. I'll show you. So this is what NoleJ looks like. It's a tool meant for educators or anybody that needs to generate e-learning packages. So it works pretty simply. You come up here to the right. You provide it whatever source material you have. You could upload a file. This could be a Word doc, could be a PDF, could be a video, could be a text file, or you could provide a URL. This could be a URL to YouTube, to a web page, to whatever, or it could be free text that you copy and paste into here. So you've got these three options. You provide a content, and then a few minutes later, it will generate one of these packages.
Oh, that's quick as well. So just boom on the screen.
Yeah. So the idea is
generate a video as well. A little demo lesson.
We don't yet generate videos, although that's in the roadmap. We do, however, convert existing videos into interactive videos.
Oh, cool.
So I'll show you what that looks like. But here on the screen, we have a few different versions. So this one is a package generated from the source material being a video. This is a package generated from the web. And we have some document examples here. So if I show you one of these, so let's say you're teaching a class about Alexander the Great. You have this YouTube video. You upload the YouTube video. It provides a glossary, a transcript. So this is I'm just showing you what it looks like to go through the review stage of the application. So the first thing it does is it creates a transcript of that YouTube video. What's nice is it generates it in a format which is easy to read. So it provides chapters, it creates paragraphs, it makes it really easy to read.
The fame of Kim Kardashian. I love that. So they got that out of the video, that phrase, obviously.
Yeah, that's right. So once you've done that, you hand it off to the AI, and it'll go through the rest of the process. It'll analyze that video. It'll analyze the semantic meaning of what's being discussed, identify the key ideas, the key concepts. It'll start building the glossary. And then once it's got the glossary, it'll start thinking about questions. It'll start generating multiple choice questions and then thinking, okay, what are suitable distractors for these multiple choice questions? And then it'll start saying, okay, those are the key questions and answers. Now let me generate flashcards to help people study those questions and answers. Once it's done that, it'll start generating some games and all these different things. So that's what's happening in the background.
Very interesting.
So while that
I love it.
Does its thing, let me show you one that was finished. So this one's ready. We can click on this. And so this is what it looks like. On the right here is a preview of what it looks like to the end user, to the students. And on the left here is everything that is produced. So it's generated some all-in-one packages. It's generated an standalone interactive video. So in this case, it's taken that YouTube video, but it's made it interactive.
So all of this came from one video.
All of this came from one video.
Wow,
Yeah. So this in the background here is the video. So he's mentioned China for the first time. The AI has identified that China is one of the key concepts in this video. And so in case you don't know what China is, we provide a definition. You'll see at the bottom here, all of these dots represent key concepts that the author wants you to know about, right? So it's identified these key concepts automatically. So let's check some of these out. Emperor is one of the key concepts. These are the these are the key ideas that they're talking about. And then in the middle here, you see a circle that represents a quiz. So let's just go check what that's like. So the AI is identified, okay, now we've discussed quite a few key concepts. We've identified quite a bit of information. Let me test if the learner has, let me just do that. So let me test if the learner has listened to what's been going on. So the AI generates this quick quiz about the video content up until this point.
That's really cool.
So, I mean, this is what the video looks like. Then we have a standalone transcript. We have the glossary, which includes definitions. We have a summary of the whole video. So the student can quickly read a 1-minute summary. Then we have teacher materials. Here are higher order questions and ways that the teacher can now use this video and how they can structure a whole lesson around this, right? So we have higher order questions and how teachers can use this. Then we have concept cards and flashcards to help students study these particular concepts, to help them study these concepts. We have flashcards that does the same. Then we have assessments, which includes drag the word assessments. We have a whole bunch of quiz questions, in this case, 24 different quiz questions, true and false. We should have, I mean, multiple choice. We have true and false, and we have fill in the blanks too.
Wow. So
and then
everything that's here just came from that one video. You basically gave
that's
it
right.
the URL. How long was the video?
This video, let me go back. It's not telling me. 12 minutes. This was a 12-minute video.
So okay. Wow. So how do you prevent it? And maybe that's too broad of a topic. How do you prevent it to actually create more than that there was in the video? Maybe irrelevant information.
Yeah, does it have guardrails or?
Yeah, that's critically important. Really good that you raised that. So the way that we work, which is different to the way that a lot of other AI tools work in this instance, is that we don't hallucinate anything. We actually you provide us source material. That source material becomes ground truth. That's the ground truth. We can't hallucinate anything that is contrary to what you've just provided. So that's how we provide the guardrails, and that's why the educators and the publishers like us, because they can trust that what the AI generates is suitable for the material that they provided it. I mean that's critically important too. We don't want to be able to or provide educators something that could hallucinate something that's inaccurate.
Absolutely, yeah. So it only uses the material you provide it, or the user provides it as context. Yeah.
And so now for the teacher, so imagine this is the workflow. The teacher needs to teach this. They go upload this video, then they go grab a cup of coffee. They come back with a coffee, and now they presented with this screen. They now check which ones of these they want.
It's a teacher's dream as well.
Yeah. We really think so. So they come and they check which ones they want, and now they just export it to wherever their students are learning. So this could be Google Classroom. It could be, we're working on various different integrations, but also, I mean, you can download these packages in different formats, and this is suitable to 95% of.
I never saw these terms.
These are just standards for learning management systems. So if you have a learning management system, 95% of the time you have one that can support one of these three formats.
So you can use it in your own system as well. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, so Blackboard is a big one, right? So you can export this and import it to Blackboard.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. And if you do that, we also, student data is really important, needs to be kept safe. What this allows you to do is allows you to use NoleJ AI, generate whatever you want, then upload it to your own LMS,
I see.
and all the student data doesn't leave your server, doesn't leave your school, doesn't leave your institution.
Yep. And is it already used by a lot of people at this point, or are you just getting started?
Yeah, we have 15,000 educators around the world using it.
Oh,
It's
really?
in
Wow.
beta.
Wow.
Yeah. So we just launched, right? So we're a few weeks into launch. It's still in beta, but yeah.
So how does somebody sign up for it? They just go to the website and make an account and get in touch with you guys, or?
Yeah, knowledge dot knowledge.io. They come to knowledge.io and they sign up. So it's really easy.
Okay. And you have like different plans for like group size, or how does that work?
Yeah, we don't have many plans at the moment. Again, we just launched. We're just starting out. We have an individual license for individual teachers, but it's really meant because teachers can't afford things like they're not getting paid much. It's really intended. Well, let's help the teachers out, get them interested, and then let's get the school to buy it, because
Yes, of
I mean
course.
it's honestly
And of
going
course, there's a
to
lot of private schools for younger kids.
yeah.
Absolutely. How many? How big is your team, Bodo?
We're like 12.
Oh, really?
We're a bit more if you count the non-full-timers. But so we're still pretty small. We're growing quickly though.
That's great.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I love it.
That's super interesting. Yeah. Well, yeah, and this is something we're gonna have to play with, Peter. So yeah, we've got good experience with these learning our large language models and generative AI. We built our own platform. I was telling you before our pod started there, Bodo, that it's our AI work platform where you can upload any data you want and then run any prompt you want against your own data. And we've got guardrails too in place where you can restrict your prompt to only produce a completion based on your data that you upload to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you want to not restrict it, we've got that toggle as well. But to build that, we really had to understand, like, okay, what's happening in the background here. And
everybody has to deal with that, of course. Like these large language models, they are a black box in the end. Nobody really knows what's going on inside of it. And it's practice that makes it perfect, right? Like you have to test a lot to make sure that everything comes out the way that you imagined it to come out.
We found that our restrictions, or guardrails as we call it, worked better with GPT-4. I mean, it improved with GPT 3.5 and then better with GPT-4. But yeah, you're welcome to check it out too, Bodo. It may help some of your, maybe some of your workflows for working on knowledge on your platform. But you can also test out prompts, and we allow long prompts, so you can really get complicated if you want, advanced with your prompt selection, and then you could put in a YouTube video or a website or a PDF or multiple PDFs, and then run prompts and see how well the AI does with generating like a lesson plan or
that's awesome.
Extracting.
And right now with the new functions, what came out 3 or 4 days ago, the functionality in GPT-4.
Right. Yeah.
Where you can just feed it and receive JSON. That's going to be a game changer as well.
Yeah.
Because now you can just basically say like, okay, I want this and this and this and this and this, and it just doesn't go around it anymore.
Yeah. Bodo, have you been following any of the auto AI technology that's coming out? Like what's the latest one, Peter? Engineering GPT?
Engineering
GPT. Yeah. That we're super excited about that. I mean, I think you're going to want to be integrating that somehow into your graph and protocol, right?
Or teach people about it, right? This is such recent knowledge, and it's 2 days old, basically 3 days old, and people already start raving about it and start testing it, and now with these functions that this version that they have right now doesn't even have these functions functionality in it. Imagine with it what you can do with it then.
Yeah,
and already people building their whole complete Python scripts with it. They just say like, okay, I want this, this, that, and it just makes all the files, makes sure all the imports are there, and just writes the whole script.
Well, I think what's going to help is like with projects like yours that already have a roadmap. I think it's going to just accelerate. If your development team, just make sure your development team is leveraging generative AI and leveraging these models to build code and test their code. And because if you can just 10x all your productivity with software development, so you should be able to fit more features into more stories into a sprint and so forth.
And I think that's where the world is heading, right? You're either in or out, and you have to. You just right now you have to accelerate your work, otherwise you're going to be left behind. And a lot of people are going to feel that. I think a lot of people that are used to just doing a few things a day, go home, doing a few things tomorrow. They're gonna see that AI is gonna replace them. That's the hard reality of it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm super excited with the auto AI, and then we has to be monitored obviously by a human, but if we can develop features using natural language and and that can assist a developer or a product owner to build out new features or test out new features, it should just accelerate all the development. So that's what we're really looking forward to. I mean, with our own development, our own developers are using GPT-4 pretty much for every task, every development task, and it's
just quicker. Even if you're already like a really good developer, it's just quicker. Because coding is really hard,
We have a lot of business requirements, and with businesses have training departments. Businesses need to upskill employees. They need to onboard employees. They need to train them on all the tool sets and everything that's being used in the company. Or it could be a government agency, or it could be any organization.
And do you have plans to focus more on adult? Like right now, you're obviously looking more to teach younger children, but you want to introduce this for adults too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
No. Actually, our focus is high school and up at the moment. And we focused on who are the main potential users of NoleJ AI. So the users of NoleJ AI are slightly different to the users of Graph and Protocol that's going to be released next year. So at the moment, we focused on NoleJ AI users, which are predominantly higher ed publishers, folks that need to generate content. Currently they're spending 30, 40 hours to generate what NoleJ AI can do in just minutes. So it's those type of people we're focusing on.
Excellent. Well, definitely want to, continue interacting with you, Bodo, and seeing how we can work.
There's a lot of overlap
in your solution with some of our clients, because I mean we're introducing generative AI, and what we found, Bodo, you've probably experienced this too. But when we show our work platform to people, and if they haven't been playing with GPT and ChatGPT day in and day out, it looks like
it's a lot to take
magic or witchcraft to them. Yeah, it's just like what just happened? Like
to really put it in practice, sometimes you have to spoon feed the user a little bit to make them familiar, like what's actually happening. It's such a whole different way of thinking. Like basically,
can I sign up for an account on your site?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a free account. You can go to play.omp.dev, and our platforms, you get right into it, and you can start uploading stuff. And I'll just give you a quick rundown, but you can chat with your documents, your media content, share that out to others as a chat bot. And you've got your prompt playground and prompt library. So we've got some preset prompts in there. I don't think we have too many educational ones, but go ahead and play with it, put in an education prompt. We like the derive tool a lot, because there's no size limit for any content. So you can put in, let's say, a 50-page, 100-page textbook or a 3-hour podcast or learning module as a YouTube video, and then you can use Derive to then extract the key concepts or create a lesson plan, or find the key takeaways and organize by topic, or create a cheat sheet. The things that would require processing all the content without having to miss some of the content. Because when you run in the token window of like just doing a regular chat or most of the tools out there, they're
regular
limited.
embeddings.
Like, so if you summarize this document and it's 100 pages, you're not going to get a complete summary. But that's where we have the Derive tool, because it will go through every single bit of text. Doesn't matter. The longer ones take longer, but obviously,
yeah.
So Derive's really cool. But yeah, go ahead and poke around, and we put like a bunch of those tools in one place. It's kind of like a work platform. We're really excited about it. And we're actually launching a newer product that puts all that together into sort of one place. So you get
like an intranet environment.
It's like an internet. So ask any question against any content in your company or your organization in one place, and get an answer with sources cited.
Hooked up with Google Drive, hooked up with everything, Twilio, Teams.
Wow.
Yeah. Awesome. When we get that going, we'll send it over to you. It may help your internal team and maybe some of your learning customers too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But definitely take a look at that. You can play with the work platform now on the website. So cool.
Awesome.
Do you have anything else, Peter, to add, or any questions?
No, I would like to just thank you a lot for your time. I found it extremely interesting. I think you're really, really far ahead right now in the game. Haven't seen another platform that does this kind of educational work, and this is where the world is heading. Nobody's gonna read a book that's written 10 years ago for the knowledge that they need right now.
That's right. Yeah.
That's just a super advancement in the space, and I would love to play with it myself as well and see how it works. Thank you.
Really good chatting with you.
Awesome. Well, thanks
really
again.
Good discussion.
I appreciate it. Thank you.